Which Premier League manager will be sacked first?
I know the answer to this. I'm going to ruin it again. I'm sorry, but the answer is Julian Lopetegui.
Well, should we do the shortlist for the listeners and the watchers?
I don't know if you need to. Julian Lopetegui, next.
What is the shortlist by the odds?
Let's do Russell Martin, Eric Ten Hag, Gary O'Neill, Glasner and Lopetegui. Look at Ten Hag. He's joined by some Championship managers.
A great list of managers there.
Actually, do you know who it won't be? Now, the next manager sacked.
Yeah.
It won't be Ten Hag because he has sort of ridden through his...
Don't speak something.
It won't be Ten Hag next. It won't be
we
Ten
got Fenerbahce up.
No, it won't be
We
Ten
got
Hag.
West Ham away.
They can't sack him now.
He could be gone after those two games.
You'll beat them.
If they were going to sack him, you had to sack him off the back of the most justifiable moment that you've had recently, which was Tottenham. Like, sack him after Tottenham, sack him after maybe those 2 games that you had in between the Aston Villa game, because then you had the international break. Tuchel was available.
But there's also another international break coming up. Fenerbahce away is a game where we could win it, but we could also easily lose 3 or 4-0. And then you go into that game against West Ham. If you somehow lose against a West Ham side that just got beat 4-1 off Spurs, with no Kudus who's suspended and all these kind of... I don't think that Brentford win
it's not Ten Hag.
I think Ten Hag's window of being sacked has gone. Since
He's there till Christmas.
He's on the edge.
Since the window, you've got a last-minute equaliser in Europe, a valiant point at Villa Park, and 3 points at home.
They're 2-0 up at Porto.
Yeah. You've got
Porto don't count. The European stuff don't count.
You're not a good team, and he's not a good manager. But what I'm saying is, you are on the up from your lowest point. You've got a draw away from home.
You say things are looking up for us, bro.
I'm saying it's looking up from the bleak, perilous situation that you were in moments ago.
We're coming back.
Also,
He's not the next sacked. We can debate if he's second or third, but he's not the next.
Okay.
Lopetegui.
Why Lopetegui?
I mean, I think why is because Lopetegui should never, ever have been appointed. That's the problem with appointing Julian Lopetegui. And you know what? I'm going to issue a little bit of a defence for West Ham fans here, because I think they're being so harshly treated by everybody. You know, when people seem to do this with West Ham fans now, they seem to be going to be careful what you wish for. Bet you wish you had David Moyes. You're like, no, mate, I don't like West Ham. I don't particularly like West Ham fans. But that's not what they were saying. When they wanted David Moyes, it was a fair and it was a just conclusion. David Moyes had taken that team as far as he could have gone. They wanted rid of him. But they didn't want rid of him with a B-Tech version of himself. They wanted rid of him with an appointment that was progressive and exciting. And if they had replaced Moyes with De Zerbi, they would have been happy. Moyes with...
you're right.
Maybe.
Just because the change hasn't worked,
doesn't mean
it was the wrong decision to change.
Exactly. But he should have never been appointed, Lopetegui.
I think you're right about that. But will he be the next one gone?
Yeah.
It's that kind of it's having this kind of cost benefit analysis of it. Is they've put so much trust in him. He spent so much money. They won't sack him so easily, in my opinion.
We were all saying they won the transfer window. Do you remember that? I was one of them.
No,
I never said that.
That doesn't mean you're wrong.
No, but
they could have won the transfer window. They've got such a bad manager.
That works against him, doesn't it?
It's called sunk cost fallacy.
Sunk cost fallacy. That's what I think a lot of United fans get caught.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the ownership. The ownership will say, well, we've spent a lot of time replacing Moyes. He's been around the block 4 or 5 years. We're not going to sack him in October, November. Well, there's a couple of other big examples.
Who do you think goes then, Booth? Gary O'Neill, your best mate?
I think Gary O'Neill could be the one, because there is a massive weight at Wolves. Wolves are a massive club. They've got a big vocal fan base. You look at Glasner, you look at some other people we're talking about. I still think they've got enough credit in the bank. Gary O'Neill, unfortunately at Bournemouth, they sacked him very, very quickly. They looked at his lack of experience in the Premier League. I think Wolves ownership could do that and say, actually, we could get someone with a little bit more experience, a little bit more weight. A bit like maybe how Nottingham Forest got rid of Cooper and they brought in Nuno Espirito Santo's done very, very well. I think they might look at Gary O'Neill's age and just say, let's make a quick transition, because there's a lot of positives still at Wolves. I know they're rock bottom, but they're scoring a lot of goals. They just can't keep a clean sheet.
I'd see. Do you know what's very difficult? You know, if say Tuchel's still available, when we discussed Ten Hag, you go, they've got to sack him now because they've got to get Tuchel before anybody else does. With regards to, say, Glasner leaving Palace or O'Neill leaving, who on earth do they get?
Glasner's a weird one as well. They rejected 18 million from Bayern Munich for him after he just turned up. I don't think they let Glasner go because he's looked at as someone that could potentially get it right.
In the Championship.
And he did really well last season.
I mean, he'll get it right in the Championship. He's getting it so wrong. He's playing Eddie Nketiah as a winger. Do you know what I mean? Like, They got it right. Because
Missing
they ended up
Elise,
having one of
innit?
the best players in the league last year, didn't they? Like,
Yeah.
they had Elise, they had Eze, they had Wharton, who found a bit of rhythm, and they got some big results towards the end of the season when a lot of teams had already checked out. It was misleading.
They've been found out a little bit, I think. I think he came in and shot a load of clubs, played that kind of 3-4-3, and Mateta shot a lot of people, but they are running on kind of, low energy at the moment. Mateta looks shot, doesn't he, since the Olympics?
There ain't nobody better than Jean-Philippe Mateta.
There are quite a few strikers now better than him. Definitely. Quite a few. He's rock bottom, the guy. A thing with Glasgow is we've seen it. I mean, they were the fourth best side in the Premier League in the second half of last season, the fourth best side on form. They're not going to sack him in October.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's probably with you like saying Ten Hag. I think Glasner's the least likely to get sacked here. Maybe Ten Hag fourth, bottom of this list,
Alex
just
are
after.
hang
Russell
on.
Martin's a mental one. Do you respect the fact he's saying I ain't changing my plans?
No, I think he's a moron. I think
No, he's a genius.
No,
he's a
not.
genius, Ross.
Tell me.
He's a genius if you're Russell Martin or if you're connected to Russell Martin or if you're his mate, because he's gonna sit there, he's gonna get relegated. He's looked at the company playbook. He thinks he'll get a top European job if he gets Southampton relegated playing a brand of football.
Like, when they played Arsenal, it looked like he changed his shape a bit and he kind of went to a more defensive, rigid unit. And you think, right, he's been a bit pragmatic. If they use that as a template, maybe. And they've gone straight back to the same old way. And I just think it's ridiculous. And I tell you what, that defeat that they suffered the other day against Leicester, from 2-0 up at home against a relegation rival, like, mate, you deserve the sack.
They crumbled, didn't they? That was apple crumble.
Where'd you go for him? Where'd
Honestly, it was
you go? Those, if you're Southampton, who'd you get?
Well, for me, you cut
Moise.
costs and you bring in a PE teacher because you're going to get relegated anyway. Why give someone a salary? You're going to get relegated. Bring in a coach from a secondary school in Southampton. You're not going to stay in the Premier League. You're not. Get a guy to lay out the cones for free. Save some money, Southampton. You're rubbish. Get relegated.
You could
But
do
then
it.
Oh, exactly, and I'd do it for cheap.
But then don't they look
I want
forward-
250 grand a year.
They'll probably look forward to a year in the Championship and appoint accordingly, right?
Unless
Russell Martin's that guy.
unless they think that Russell Martin, unless in amongst the lunacy that you spoke, there could be some truth, which is they have accepted that they are going to go down, and rather than appointing a local PE teacher from a school in Southampton, they actually think that Russell Martin is the best positioned to bring them back up. So you commit to him, not for the year, you commit to him, well, for 3 years, effectively.
It's a risk, innit? Look at Rob Edwards at Luton Town, really
They're
struggling.
although they did batter Watford the other day.
Yeah, really struggling. I just think it's much ado about nothing. They're a rubbish club. They bring the quality of the Premier League down every time they get promoted, and they sometimes
They
somehow
are
still
a
get
club
promoted.
that usually they bring in a coach that's quite forward thinking. Like you look at they've had like Pochettino and those kind of people. Their academy is usually very, very good in terms of churning those players out that they can either sell on for big money or. So Southampton are a club that you feel like even if they go down, they'll be back up again at some point.
They might be the most irrelevant club in Premier League history, Adam.
Pardon?
They're the most irrelevant club in the history of the Premier League.
Whoa!
They are. Even Swindon Town. Swindon Town are bigger than Southampton.
Whoa!
They are.
Whoa!
I'm so bored of talking about them every
so
week.
who
James
is-
Beattie.
everybody
Ladies
now,
and gentlemen.
everybody now has to.
Yeah, Matt Letizia is finished. Probably doesn't help.
Who is the next manager sacked?
Right, let's put them in order. Yeah, go.
Lopetegui will be the next manager sacked. First manager.
For me, it's Gary O'Neill's first one, Matt Sachs.
Russell Martin.
There we have it.
Then I've got Lopetegui. Then I got Gary O'Neill. Then I got Ten Hag. Then I got Glasner.
Ten Hag stays for the rest of the season.